Hey, this is Russ. It's been about 1 month since I purchased my RadRover 5 from Rad Power Bikes. And so I thought I'd make a video to help others who are looking at e-bikes to purchase. Now, especially if you've had a knee replacement or a hip replacement or something like that that might make it difficult for you to ride a bike. These are some things that I've learned about e-bikes over this time. Now, just some background for you in case you're not a normal Russ is Right viewer, okay? As of this recording, I've had my left knee replaced about 19 and a half months ago, something like that. And I've had a lot of issues with it, and I still have issues with it, quite frankly. So there's over 150 something knee replacement videos I've made on my channel now. So if you're a knee replacement person, you'll want to watch those. But listen up for this one if you're looking at an e-bike to help your rehab, okay? Now I'm going to look off camera every now and then because I've made some notes on the computer behind the camera, and I don't want to miss any of these points. So if you see me looking off camera, you'll know why, okay? All right, so here's some of the things that I've learned over time, okay? These are very heavy bikes compared to a standard mountain bike. All right. Now, the RadRover 5 is slated as 69 pounds. Now, your typical mountain bike would probably be in the 30-ish pound range, say 30, 35 pounds. Now, I didn't realize how heavy my bike was until I lifted up my wife's mountain bike, okay? She has a Trek mountain bike, and that thing was light as a feather in comparison to the Rad, right? It's very, very heavy, okay? And you must have enough strength to keep from falling after dismounting the bike or mounting the bike. All right. So if you're getting on this bike, yeah, it's pretty heavy. Now, the model that I bought, they come in two versions. There's a step-through model and then what they call a high-step model. Okay, I purchased the high-step model. Now, years ago, we would have called that a men's bike versus a step-through model might have been called a woman's bike, okay? But I think they've gotten rid of that because a lot of men are also buying the step-through, especially people who have hip and knee replacement issues. So you don't have to swing your leg over the bike in order to mount the bike, all right? So getting on the bike is a lot easier with a step-through model. Now, why did I buy the high step? Well, okay, part of it is because I'm used to those type of bikes because, yeah, they were men's bikes back then. They're stronger, quite frankly. The frame geometry makes it stronger. So now I don't plan to go hopping over curbs or going on mountain bike trails or anything like that. I just want to ride on the typical bike trails that are, in the forest preserves and things like that are paved. So really, I didn't really need the high step, but I'm just used to it, so I ordered it. I would have to say that might have been a mistake, all right, because I don't have a good enough leg strength to help keep myself up on the bike sometimes, all right? So you need to have good leg strength because really, if you have a high step model where you have to swing your leg over the top bar, you're not only swinging it over the top of that, you're swinging it over the seat, and the seat is typically higher than the top bar. Now, the whole point with the top bar is you have to have an inseam of at least 31.5 inches if you're buying a RadRover, because if you don't, then parts of your body is going to hit that top bar where you don't want to be hit, okay? So you want to definitely make sure you have enough clearance, all right? But besides that, your seat is higher than that top bar because in order for you to pedal with good extension of your leg, you figure the pedals are higher than the ground, right? And so your seat has to be up a certain amount too, so you'll be able to clear the ground with the pedals and also have good extension of your legs. So really, the seat is a lot higher than the 31.5 inches. So you have to be able to swing your leg that high to get over the top of that. Now, if you have a rear rack, like I put on my bike, if you put things on that rear rack, you got to clear that too in order to swing your leg over the top of that, all right? So really, the only way to get on a bike that has a top bar like that is to actually swing the leg over. You can't step through it because the bar is in the way, okay? Now, the step-through models make it a lot easier because you can simply step across the bike, and if you had to jump off the bike real quickly, there's no bar in there to hurt you, okay? So on the long run, I think the step-through models are easier for people who've had knee and hip replacements, okay? Now, I had fallen already once. All right. Now let me tell you real quickly how this fall happened. I was navigating. I was going across a very busy intersection, and I usually walk my bike across. I don't usually ride it across the street, but because the light changed real quickly and it was green and it was ready, and I was coming up to it, I said, "Well, I'll just ride across it." And then to get up over to the other side, there's usually a handicap entrance on. You don't have to jump the curb. There's a entrance there, but very little space right afterwards, because where this was, there's like traffic light controller boxes there and everything, so you don't have a whole lot of space. So as I was trying to navigate that, I couldn't get in there fast enough. So what happened was I had to stop the bike, and typically I will put my leg down because otherwise if you're sitting on the seat and you're stopped, you're gonna teeter-totter on that thing, you're gonna fall. So I put my leg down, my left leg down, but after riding it for so long, my leg is kind of wobbly already, and I don't have a whole lot of leg strength due to the knee replacement. So as I put it down, I knew immediately I'm gonna fall because I didn't have enough strength to keep myself up, and then also the heaviness of the bike, leaning to one side to do that. So you needed leg strength to ride the bike, all right? So even though you might be able to pedal the bike, all right, you're going to need some leg strength to keep yourself from falling off that bike. Something that I didn't realize was as important as it actually is, okay? So, okay. And also, some of these bikes, not only do they have pedal assist, meaning as you're pedaling, the motor helps push you along. There's also a throttle, just like a motorcycle. So if you throttle, you could literally not even pedal at all, and the bike will move for you, okay? But I found that you may need to pedal and throttle at the same time when you go up hills. Okay, now some hills you can pedal along, but again, if you do that, it becomes harder. And if you had a knee replacement done, you might need a little help with the throttle, all right? So I pedal and throttle at the same time. And by the way, too, people sometimes think that, because you had a knee replacement, you bought an e-bike so that you didn't have to move and you could just ride it. It's not true. I would say I pedal about 70 to 80% of the time, and maybe 20% of the time I'm coasting using the throttle, all right? The throttle is used to help me go up and down the hills, but also if I'm too tired, I can always throttle and not pedal at all. But my intent was to buy the bike so I can keep my legs moving, and I do pedal about 70 to 80% of the time that I'm on the bike, all right? So anyways, you do need to also learn to change a flat tire, all right? Now, it's been a month, but I've already gotten one flat tire, and that's not because I ran over something, all right? I decided to put in some slime. Slime is like a liquid device that you use, that you squirt into the inner tube, okay? And what happens is if you get a flat, but let's say a nail goes through your tire, as the air is being expelled, the slime tends to get expelled with it, and that can seal that hole. All right. So finding out that I could actually put slime in before a flat tire, trying to prevent flat tires, I deflated the tire, and then I put in the slime, squeezed the slime into the inner tube, closed it up, and then essentially started to pump up the tire back to the 20 pounds recommended fat tire bike. It's 4-inch fat tires on this bike. And so after a few minutes, the inner tube popped. It sounded like a firecracker going off. It was so loud. So I thought that I had overinflated the tire, but after thinking more about it and hearing from one of my other viewers, he said it sounds like maybe you had the inner tube was pinched. And so when it unpinches itself from the inflation and just sitting there for a while, it popped. So you need to learn to change a flat tire. Now, I will tell you, with these large fat tire bikes, it's a lot easier to change than I thought, all right? So luckily it was the front tire, which has a quick release, and I think after I released the tire, it took me between 5 to 7 minutes to replace the inner tube. That's how fast it was. I was shocked how quickly I was able to do it. All right. But reinstalling that tire, you have to make sure that it's aligned and sitting in the fork of the front perfectly. If not, you're going to get the brakes to squeal. So that's what happened to me. So I had to take the wheel off a second time, realign it, and then that fixed the squealing brakes. All right. So learn to change your tires, because if you're out on the road, you're going to need to do that. Which brings me to another point. You need to buy enough equipment to bring with you so that in case you do have a flat tire, you can change it in the field. Because if you think about it, if you've ridden, say, 3 miles into a forest preserve and you get a flat, how are you going to get that back home? All right? You got to know how to change the tire yourself. All right? It's not as hard as you think, and I'm glad it kind of happened while I was in the garage doing this, all right, rather than in the field. But it's not as hard, but you do need to know how to do it. There's videos online that you can look at that'll tell you and teach you how to do it, okay? All right, what else do we have here? Don't overinflate. Be careful with that. Always bring your battery inside, okay, for charging and for storing. Because if you leave it in the garage, if you're in a hot area, you don't want the hot to get to the battery, all right? And of course, during the winter months, you don't want it freezing out there either. So I always charge my battery indoors, and they recommend that you charge it, at least for Rad power bikes. For a brand new battery, you need to charge it 12 hours for the first 3 times, okay? No matter how much you ride or little that you ride, when you charge it, 12 hours, and that's called balancing the batteries. Okay, there's multiple cells inside that battery. You want all of that to be charged right. You do that 12 hours for the first 3 times. After that, then you can charge it to the level that it needs to be charged and then unplug it. Okay, so let's say you ride very little and it's time to charge your battery. Maybe you've only ridden 10 miles or something like that. You should charge your battery up. When the charger says it's done, pull it. Don't leave it on there, because overcharging is not good for your battery. Now, some battery chargers do have the automatic function to shut itself off, but I don't trust it. When that charger says it's done, pull it, and that'll save the life of the battery on the long run, okay? All right, too high of a seat setting could cause you to fall. Now, we mentioned about having good extension on your leg, all right? And I set my bike for a good extension, but the problem was it was too high when I was stopped. Because a lot of times when you stop your bike, all right, let's say you come up to an intersection, you stop your bike or whatever, if somebody's in your way, you stop your bike. A lot of times we want to stay sitting, okay? If you do that, you're going to fall, all right? Because the bike can't balance by itself, so it's going to teeter back and forth. And when that happens, you're going to lean to one side. Well, by the time you get your leg down to the ground, you're too tall. So you're leaning the bike quite a bit, you're going to fall. And especially if you end up leaning on the leg that you had the knee replacement on, you don't have the strength, you're going to fall. So what I did is I lowered my seat height slightly. All right, I dropped it about 1.5 inches lower than I typically would like it. All right. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but that 1.5 inches made a huge difference of making it easier to mount and getting on and off the bike. And also, it's a savings in case you might tilt over and fall, okay? Which brings me to another point. These bikes are designed to go relatively fast. The slower you go, the more you feel like you're going to fall off, okay? It's very hard to kind of keep it vertical, all right? So anytime I slow down, I always feel like I'm about ready to fall. And turning, I feel like I'm ready to fall. So if you're moving at a certain pace, because of the forward momentum, you don't feel like you're falling, all right? So if you're going to buy this bike thinking you're going to go for slow bike rides, don't buy this bike, all right? It's kind of really designed to go quicker. Now, I don't know if that's because of the heaviness of the bike frame or because it's the fat tires. These 4-inch fat tires are really huge. It does take up a lot of bumps on the road. I actually prefer it, but you tend to teeter a little bit if you're too slow. So you do need to go to a certain pace, all right? What else? The bikes are heavier than you think. And that's the first thing I think most people notice is how heavy the bike is. Now it says 69 pounds, but I added 2 racks. I put a front rack and a back rack on it. So let's say that adds a couple more pounds, and then you're carrying things, okay? I'm carrying all my tools for changing tires and everything. I weighed the bag that I put in the front, and that thing weighed 10 pounds. So really, it's not a 69-pound bike. It's probably closer to 79 pounds with the bag, add in the weight of the racks. I would say it's close to 82, 83 pounds. That's pretty heavy, okay? Which means you can't transport these bikes easily too without a specialized rack, okay? Your standard bike rack is not going to hold that weight. So you need to get a hitch that goes onto the back of your car and a specialized rack. These things could add up in price. The hitch could cost you $150, $200 to have installed. I don't know. I haven't had one installed yet. And the bike racks are usually between $350, $450. So really you're looking at an investment of, let's say roughly $500 to $600 just to get a rack to transport your bike. So there's a lot of cost involved for these things. You have the high cost of the bikes. My bike was with tax a little over $1,800 something dollars. By the time I added racks to it and I added a lot of accessories to it, I'm probably in close to about $2,500 already. So if I wanted to buy another device to transport it, I've got at least another $500, let's say. So I'm close to $3,000 to do that. All right. So they're not cheap. Consider looking at used bikes if you can. And also, it's very difficult to even get a bike now because of the pandemic. All right. Supply chain has really hit the bike industry of everyone wanting to buy bikes. Okay. All right. What else do we have here? The disc brakes are different than the brakes that you might be used to. We used to have rim brakes, right? Either center pull or side pull rim brakes. Well, today, your brakes aren't on the rim of the tire. It's a special disc brake. And these could be either mechanical or they could be hydraulic. The better ones are hydraulic. The less expensive ones are mechanical. Mine is mechanical, but I find it works fine. But hydraulics tend to stop quicker. Be careful when you're passing other cyclists or runners on the bike path, okay? Use your bell to warn them. Now, on my bike, there is a little bell that's built into the left brake, okay? Where the handbrake is, there's a little bell there. So you want to warn people ahead of time as you're getting ready to pass them because you're going to be passing them. I've had guys who are, the guys who are all dressed up in their bike stuff. They have fancy road bikes that they're going really fast. Yeah, I pass all those guys up because we go faster, quite frankly. My bike could easily do 20 miles per hour. There's a hidden section there that you can change that to 25 miles an hour, right? So, yeah, those guys go fast, but they can't maintain that level of speed if they're riding for a while. You're actually going to go faster than them. So you want to make sure you use the bell, let them know that you're there. Now, here's one thing that I've noticed. A lot of people on the bike trail have earbuds on, or headphones on. They can't hear it, right? So be careful of those guys. They're the most dangerous people to be coming up against because they don't know what's around them, okay? Give yourself plenty of space to pass and make sure that you don't get close to these people, all right? If you have to do it and you can't use the bell, typically we say on your left and then you pass on the left, okay? So be careful of that. I recommend you wear cycling gloves. And the reason is because, first off, it takes up some of the pain of holding the handlebar so long and pushing down on it and the like. But if you fall, a lot of times we do instinctively put our hands out and to try to stop your fall. Having that glove on will keep you from scratching up your hand on the pavement, okay? So wear some cycling gloves. They're usually fingerless, right? So they're just partially things, so you can grab the handbrake pretty easy still. All right. Always wear a helmet. Okay. I think most people know that now because if you fall and you hit your head on the pavement, that's not going to be good. All right. Wear a helmet. Get a good bike lock. All right. Now, the ones that most people like are the U-bolt type bike locks. You've seen these before from Kryptonite or from other companies. I first bought one of these U-bolt type of things, and I found that it wouldn't pass through the 4-inch tires. Couldn't get through the tires and also lock the frame of my bike and also lock it to a stationary object. So I couldn't use it, right? Fat tire bikes are too big. So I ended up buying a bike chain. Now, I bought the best bike chain that's out there. All right, I'll show you a photo of it here. It's made by Kryptonite. It weighs a ton. Now, I didn't buy the longest one. I think they have like a 5-foot version. I think mine is like 3 feet. It's over 10 pounds. Yeah, 10 to 11 pounds with the bike and the lock. So that again adds more weight to the bike if you're going to be bringing that with you. And you want to lock your frame to your rear tire and then to the stationary object. But that leaves the front tire exposed. Okay, now most of the front tires have quick release things. The back tires usually don't. You have to use a wrench to take it off, but you want to still secure that because that's where the motor is on the back tire for many of these bikes. So to secure the front tire, I have a bike cable. Now those cables are a lot easier to cut through, but the whole point of putting the cable there is not for the professional bike thief who wants to steal. If they want to steal your bike, they'll cut through anything. I don't care what kind of bike lock and chain you buy. They'll cut through it. They bring angle grinders with them, portable angle grinders, and they will cut right through that thing. So the whole point of using the cable to the front tire and then also locked to the rest of the other locks is for the fast person who says, hey, look, there's a bike. Let me consider stealing the tire from that. It'll stop those guys because they don't have tools with them. But any good professional bike thief, they have all the tools. It doesn't matter what you lock it with, they're going to steal it, right? So you're just trying to prevent the casual guy, opportunist guy from stealing. And let me talk about your seat post. The seat post has usually a quick release there too, so you can adjust the seat height quickly, all right? I replaced mines with a collar that does not have a quick release. Now, those are typically the cheaper type collars. The quick release are the ones that cost more. But here's how I figure. Once I adjust my seat, I'm not readjusting it constantly, all right? It's my bike. No one else is riding it. So I adjust it for exactly where I want it. Then I use the standard collar that has to use a hex nut to unloosen, all right? So most opportunists don't walk around with all the tools like that to do it. So using that is actually safer. If you use the quick release, anybody could just walk up, quick release it, and steal your seat. And many of us use updated seats that maybe are $40, $50. So and more. So you really don't want to have that happen. I mean, it would be bad to come back and your bike is there, but then your seat is gone. How are you going to ride back? Okay. So consider making that change as well. All right. And I'll put Amazon affiliate links in the description so you can see all the different accessories that I bought for my bike. All right. What else? Make sure your bike has fenders. If you have, especially these fat tire bikes, make sure they have fenders, because if you ride across wet pavement or muddy areas, yeah, you're going to find you're going to be all dirty because those tires will kick off a lot of dirt and a lot of water. So the fenders really help a lot. Now, my bike came with fenders. They're plastic fenders. I actually like the plastic fenders because I think they're safer. If you have a fall, it's not going to ding it as fast. All right. So, but the point is, it has fenders. That's the key. Okay. Never wear earbuds when you're riding your bike. Don't wear headphones. All right, because then you can't hear what's going on, and you need to have those audible cues to be safe when you're riding. Okay. Now, for me, I bought myself a Bluetooth speaker, as you'll see right here. I could Bluetooth music from my phone, and this particular one, if you have WAV files, .wav files of audio, it'll play that on a micro SD card. So I do music and the like. That I do cover songs, so I'm listening to myself as I'm riding my bike, and when I'm tired of listening to myself, then I can send music from my phone to the speaker. But don't wear headphones, don't wear earbuds, because that's that blocks out too much stuff. It's better to have just music on a speaker, okay? Always check your spokes and your brakes before you go out riding. You want to make sure that those spokes are nice and tight and that the wheel is balanced and true, and you also want to make sure your brakes are working properly, okay? Make sure you have enough battery power, all right? Sometimes people forget to charge your battery, and then they go out for a long ride and they find out that, oh, my battery's dead. So how are you going to get back? You can ride your bike back, but you're talking a bike that's probably like 80 pounds, all right? If you have no battery to help move you along with the motor, that's going to be a very heavy bike to ride, okay? So make sure you have your batteries fully charged before you go out, all right? Consider registering your bike with the local police department if they have that service, and if they don't, use an online service like the National Bike Registry, which is bikeindex.org, okay? You can register your serial number of your bike there. But I registered it there, and I also registered it with my local police department, who sent me a little sticker that I can put on my bike. It has a registration number, so if they find your bike, they know who to return it back to, as long as the thief hasn't undone the sticker. I put it down where it's not easily seen, but if they were a police department were to look around the frame, they would see the sticker and they would know who it goes to. They can also check against the serial number too, because that's registered. So either way, if they find my bike, hopefully I get it back. All right. Check with your insurance company to see if they even will insure your e-bike. I've heard that some insurance companies will not insure e-bikes. It is probably the hottest thing to steal right now, because if you think about it, most of these bikes are, at least $1,000, if not more. Mine's is more with all the things I have on there. Mine's is worth over $2,000 something at this point. Probably, like I said, it's not cheap. All right, so it is the best things to steal. So some insurance companies will not insure it, but double check it, or you can go to specialist insurance companies that specialize in insuring bicycles. Okay. Anyways, these are just some things that I thought of since getting the bike, and thought that I would at least relay that to you. If you have a knee replacement or a hip replacement and you want to rehab yourself, it's fine. Make sure you have enough leg strength to hold yourself up. Like I said, for me, I'm able to do full rotations relatively easily now. I had a lot of problems over my time with my knee replacement. So after 19 months, 18 months by the time I got the bike, a year and a half later, I was actually able to ride a bike on a bike trail again. But if it wasn't for the e-bikes, I wouldn't be doing it, because I wouldn't have enough strength to go up and down hills. And if I go some distance, I wouldn't be able to get back. Okay, I would just be too tired out. So the e-bike has allowed me to go quite a distance. Now, how far have I been able to travel on it? These bikes say that you can go typically 24, 25 miles to 40, 45 miles. But that's on a flat terrain, and that's for lighter weight people, right? For me, I'm relatively heavy, and so if you add my weight and the bike weight and the fact that I'm going up and down some hills on that trail, I have been able to do at least 22, 23 miles on the bike on a full charge. Okay, I can probably do more if you do less assistance. Like if they rate these from level 0 to 5, 5 being a lot of motor assistance. If you have a lower assistance, like maybe a level 1 or level 2, yeah, you can probably go past 25 miles. You can probably do 30, okay, or more. But I'm heavier, and I need the extra help because my leg strength isn't as good. So I usually ride at power level 2 and 3, all right? And with that, I can usually do about 22, 23 miles, okay? So you need to know that if you go out 12 and a half miles, you're going to be needing 12 and a half miles of help going back, right? So you really can't go too far unless you either buy a secondary battery or something, all right? For me, these batteries are very expensive. I think for the RadRover, it's about $550, something like that. So, if I was knowing that I was going to go a long distance, then maybe I would consider buying a secondary battery, but I don't go that far. I'm just usually on the forest preserve trails and things. So, yeah, if you have a lower level, you can go farther, right? But I typically ride in the areas of, let's say, 12 to 20 miles at a time. Yeah, I think the second day that I had the bike, I rode 18 miles, and the third day I rode 20 something miles. Right? Now consider I have a knee replacement, right? To do 20 miles on a regular bike, that would be near impossible for a guy with a knee replacement. So it can be done. Don't think you can't, but I'm just saying make sure you have enough leg strength, because if you put your legs down after you've ridden for a while and you're kind of tired from riding, and you stop your bike, you're going to need still enough strength to hold yourself up and hold the bike up too. And to get off that bike, you're going to have to lean that bike, especially if you have a high step model, not a step through. You're going to have to lean that bike to a side. So you're going to have to hold that weight up as it's leaning and then swing your leg over. All right. Now, again, let me mention real quickly the rear rack. Okay. If you have stuff mounted on the rear rack, not only do you need to clear the height of the seat, but you're going to need to clear the height of the stuff on the rear rack, all right? So the rear racks are okay, but you might want to buy some of these I think they call them panniers or panniers. They're specialized bags. I just ordered one myself. And they're bags that go, below the rack. So it's by the wheel level. But some of the packs, like the one I have, there's a pack that goes above it. I would have to clear that. But luckily for me, if I don't want to bring that top bag, I can disassemble that top bag and it'll just be the two side bags. All right. But just keep that in mind. You got to clear that too. So you have to have enough leg strength to hold up the bike, hold up on one leg while you swing the other leg over. This is why that step-through model might be the way to go, especially if you're a knee replacement or a hip replacement person, okay? So eventually for me, I will get used to it. My leg strength will eventually start coming back, but I'm very careful getting on and off the bike now. But my biggest fear is always not about riding the bike. It's about stopping and getting off of the bike, right? Every time you stop, hop off the bike. That's why you need that clearance. That top bar has to have enough clearance, so when you hop off, you don't damage something there, right? So that's my biggest fear, is getting on and off the bike. It's not about riding the bike. And like I said, you need a lot of forward momentum, so you're talking riding fairly quickly. Okay, this is not a bike to ride for slow riding. Okay, I average probably 14 to 15 miles an hour whenever I'm riding. That's how fast I usually go. And of course, on straightaways, I can easily do 20 miles an hour on the bike. Right? It doesn't take much to the next thing you know, you're at 20 miles an hour. Right? And of course, you got to have all your wits with you, because any little quick move could make you fall. So you got to be very careful at those speeds. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you. Share this video with anybody you know who's interested in bicycles or e-bikes, because these are just some tips that they should keep in mind when they're ready to buy one of these things. Okay. Anyways, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys next time.